Hello everyone, this is Saravanan J. Bharati from Carbon Figure Academy. I welcome all of you for this online course LEED Green Associate Exam Preparation. Myself, LEED Green Associate, IGBC Accredited Professional and IGBC Accredited Faculty. Let's jump into the modules. Here is the first module, Introduction to Green Buildings. So, before getting into the module-wise content, for the LEED perspective, you should know some background information as the pre-context, right? So, from the perspective of US and some Western point of view, these are the rising concerns and pressing needs for which the green buildings are suggested to be the better solution, right? So, impact of commercial construction in the US, if you see, water usage, it comes around 14% of potable water consumption, only the construction sector, commercial construction sector. And if you see the waste, it accounts for 30% of the total waste generation. And carbon emission, 38%, raw material use, which means the natural resources and exploitation, 40% of the materials goes to the construction, right? Especially the commercial construction. Then energy use around 24 to 50% and electricity use 72%. So when they say energy use, it includes electricity, the gas and any other form of renewable and non-renewable energy resources. And if you see the issues with the traditional construction practices, that prioritizes budget, overlooks the environmental impacts like deforestation. So they simply contract the impact on the environment as a deforestation. So when I construct a building, I cut down some trees. That's what I do. Nothing beyond I make, right? That's how people think, blindly. So that's actually a problem, right? And the conventional practices or traditional practices ignores preventive measures against the pollution. So it's like not a preventive one, it's a reactive one, right? So when something happens, they react. But it has to be preventive, right? So the construction or traditional construction practice lacks coordination among the disciplines, which means the various engineering and non-engineering set of people who is involved in the construction project. Okay, and it's also neglects best practices in energy and water use. And waste management is a reactive one. So only after the construction, people are sitting and dealing about the waste they have in their hand once the construction is done, right? And on the other hand, if you see the sustainable construction practices, they have some key features. So they prioritizes connectivity, mass transit access and protects sensitive land, and they reduces impacts during the construction and operation, right? It's not about post-construction scenario, it's during the construction also. They are thinking about how to make this ongoing construction practice a sustainable one, a better one, or less pollutable one, right? Then it implements and monitors energy and water saving technologies, and they promotes holistic, environmentally responsible decisions. It's like comprehensive, big picture in the mind and acting at the smaller task at the hand, right? And it ultimately lowers operational and maintenance expenses with efficient utilities, right? So with this pre-context, we are just getting introduced to what is a green building, right? So for the term green building, lots of similar and confusing colloquial terms are there in the market, right? But as a whole, you should have the clear, concise idea about what is a green building, what is not, okay? So a green building is the one which conserves natural resources, uses lesser water, optimizes energy efficiency, generates less waste, and provides healthier spaces. So mostly people think, okay, green building means environmentally friendly building, maybe reducing the pollution during the construction site, or maybe during the operation stage, installing some rooftop solar plant, or installing some some automation and kind of electronics into the building so as to efficiently managing the system, right? It's not, right? So something need to be so comprehensive and a bigger picture when it comes to a green building, right? So in the left side table, we can understand for the different building typology that exists in the market, and based on the different parameters, how they differ from each other. Okay, so if you take a conventional building, like traditional building, so when you think about eco-efficient resource use or water management, energy management, waste management, and indoor quality and well-being, there is no specific intention. There is no specific addressing on any of these parameters. So that's how we build. We have been building buildings, since quite long, right? So for example, we can say the USGBC was created in the early 1990s. When I was born in 1990, there was no such a green building concept on the earth. So how old it is? Some 35 years old, the concept of green buildings. Earlier than that, there was no such buildings. There was no such concepts. And today, after 35 years, you see everybody who is controlling the building sector is really constructing a green buildings? No, it's not. So it's still after even 35 years of the formation of USGBC, still the concept of green building is just emerging, right? So we should understand, okay, there are different other terminologies. Smart building, right? So when we say smart city, we think ourselves that every building in that city will be a smart building. Okay, smart building focuses on what? Water management, energy performance, and indoor air quality and well-being. But they fail to focus on the waste management or sustainable waste management or eco-efficient resource use. It's a big red. Okay. Then if you think about net zero energy building or net zero carbon building or net zero water building or net zero waste building, so they are specifically focusing on any one or two of the elements, right? So if you see net zero energy, they may focus on water management, energy performance. That's all. They don't focus on the material resources, waste management, nothing, right? But finally, on the other hand, if you see the green building, they addresses all of these parameters. So it's not like every of these parameter will be achieved and addressed 100% to their maximum availability in the green building. No, it's not like that. So we can make a scoring, and under each of the parameter, if each of the parameter has 100 out of 100 scoring, a green building should try to address all of them at least to a pass mark level. Okay, the eco-efficient resource is 35 out of 100. Okay, water management 65 out of 100. Energy performance, okay, 45 out of 100. Something should be there. It doesn't need to be 100 out of 100 for all the parameters, but efforts and initiative should be there to address all of these parameters in a given building. Then only that given building will be called as a green building, right? So from the LEED perspective, they are much more into the concept called the triple bottom line sustainability. Okay, so from their perspective, they are talking about 5 major elements like indoor environmental quality, site planning, water management, energy and material use. Same as what we have discussed here, but you all should understand one thing. Somebody might be thinking, okay, the IGBC is completely a copy of USGBC, or some random any other green star from Australia or Singapore, they are completely a copy of USGBC. No, it's not like that. That's the fact that USGBC was the very first green building council for a country, launched in the early 1990s. So they laid out the blueprint and they laid out the earlier guidelines, and the different countries, based on their different geographical location and cultural background, they adapted for their own benefit. So whatever the additions and deletions from the original thing may be there, but these 5 elements will remain same. Okay, so there are some 190 plus countries are there, 150 plus green building frameworks are there on the globe right now. So each one of them would be having these 5 elements as a fundamental thing, right? So how they are trying to address each of these elements with respect to their own local background and requirement matters, and that's what vary those frameworks from one and each other, right? So what is that the sustainability pillar? Social, environmental and economical thing. So we can say if you are constructing a green building, that would benefit these three bottom lines in at various capacities. Like under social benefits, we can see it would improve the indoor environmental quality of the buildings, so that healthier living and working conditions will prevail. So no added pressure on local infrastructure, right? So people are doing good, they are enough on their mind and healthy. So there is nothing additional requirement is sought from the government, right? So under environmental benefits, the protection of wildlife is there, and the prevention of air, water and waste pollution, and conservation of natural resources. So you may wonder, what's the protection of wildlife? What's the connection between a green building and the protection of wildlife? So as one of the criteria or one of the focus point of the green building framework, sometimes whenever you are constructing a building nearby any natural ecological feature, kind of like a forest or lake or a huge ocean or some huge water body, so how you address not to disturb the existing ecological feature. So for that, what kind of elements you included in your planning, master planning, right? So because of that, you ensure, okay, the existing wildlife of different varieties are somehow getting protected, because even though we construct our buildings, okay. So that's the connectivity. Then prevention of air, water and waste pollution, and conservation of natural resources. That's so straightforward. Then at the last, economical benefits, we can say like, okay, reduce the operating and maintenance cost and increase the property value. Yes. So when somebody says we are eco-friendly, they would be costlier, right? So the enhanced productivity and lower life cycle cost, right? So considering the green building in a given society, these are the different three bottom line perspective benefits, directly and indirectly, right? And if you see a green building design as a whole, there are n number of concepts that governs the green building design as a whole, okay? So it's not like a single element, as we have already seen. So it comprises of 5 major elements, okay? What are they? The site planning, water management, energy management, material use and indoor environmental quality, right? And if you see the sub concepts are there, life cycle approaches. Under that we see LCA, LCC, life cycle costing, and embodied energy as one of the sub concepts. So what does mean to life cycle assessment? Evaluates energy, emissions and waste across the life cycle of the product. Okay, then life cycle costing, it assesses cost from cradle to grave, so for the given product. Okay, embodied energy, so total energy used throughout a material's life cycle. So in terms of carbon, if you see, it's a carbon footprint. If it, in terms of energy, if you calculate, it's embodied energy, right? Then cost management as a very important concept governing the green building design. So hard cost, soft cost, value engineering are the sub concept. So hard cost means construction related expenses. Soft cost means non-construction expenses like fees, daily labor cost, likewise, right? Then value engineering, cost cutting measures during the construction, right? So project planning and design, owners program requirements, OPR, right? So that and all would be part of your LEED project submission and all, right? So it defines project goals and environmental vision, right? Then basis of design, technical plan to meet the OPR. So you define the OPR first, then for meeting out that OPR, you try to prepare the basis of design, okay? Then flexible design supports feature adaptability and reuse. And under the sustainable project types, we have different sub-concepts like regenerative project, net zero energy project, net zero carbon project, water balance and zero waste project. So regenerative project means that restores ecosystems, achieves net zero goals. Net zero energy project means that generate as much as energy as it consumes. Net zero carbon, no net carbon emission. So whatever I emit, I sequester, okay, or I absorb, right? Then water balance again uses only the precipitation for water needs. Precipitation in the sense rainwater, right? I don't get any other supply from the local government, right? Then zero waste reuses or recycles all the waste type, right? Then site selection and integration are there as a major concept. Project location and credit to synergies. Okay, project location that evaluates site infrastructure and environmental factors for a given project proposal. Then credit to synergies in the sense what is meant by credit, we will see that eventually, right? Then building operation and performance, commissioning, operation and maintenance program, then energy performance certification, Energy Star and LEED certification, right? So throughout the concept, okay, so you are a group of people, you have a budget, you have a location, you have the manpower, and you are going to start your construction means, so at that point of time, what are the points you discuss so that to make the project as a green project, okay? From that moment till the completion and post completion operation and maintenance, right? For example, a typical building's lifetime will be 50 to 60 years, okay? So throughout that 50 years, how you have prepared yourself, okay? So as to make the operation and maintenance energy, less energy intensive or energy conservative, okay? So in case of LEED, these are the various categories, and they call individual category as a separate credit. Okay, so it all starts with the integrative process, then location and transportation credit, sustainable sites SS credit, and water efficiency WE credit, energy and atmosphere EA credit, materials and resources MR credit, indoor environmental quality EQ credit, and innovation IN credit, and regional priority RP credit. So energy and atmosphere, indoor environmental quality, these two are the quite bigger credits among all of these, right? So if for example, if you take up IGBC, for example, that sustainable site will be there, water will be there, energy will be there, material, indoor environmental quality will be there. But this LEED has a additional location and transportation credit and innovation regional priority. Okay, so innovation also is there in IGBC, but apart from all these things, they have some couple of additional credits also, so which are focusing on biomimicry, how hygiene the building is, how you address the indoor thermal comfort, indoor mental comfort, all these kind of things are there under different names and terminologies. Okay, so ultimately what you can take away from this session is any green building framework sits on these major 5 things: site, water, energy, atmosphere, material, and indoor environmental quality. So these 5 will be there in all the green building certification frameworks, right? So in the next session, in the next module, we will talk about the first credit called integrative process. Thank you.